Hey there, everybody. Sunday evening. I wasn't going to make another video today because I had a event I had to go to, and then the Dallas Cowboys were playing, which is my team. It's going really badly, so I turned that off. But I wanted to mention, I had mentioned earlier which index funds that I prefer to go with or that I recommend. Remember, I'm not a financial advisor. This is just for entertainment purposes. But VTI is the Vanguard Total US Index, and it's got 3,625 different companies. Just checked earlier. The expense ratio on that is 0.03. That means $3 for every 10,000 invested. So I'm gonna recommend VTI being the number one fund that I like to go with. That being said, that's really all you need if you're just starting out investing and you're opening an account with Vanguard or Schwab, Fidelity, or any of them. But remember, they all have their own companies that they go with. I mean, Fidelity has several. Schwab also has one. If your account is with Schwab, then SCHB is one that I recommend there. I actually have more funds than that, but just starting out, you're probably fine with just VTI with Vanguard or SCHB at Schwab. But if you want to get a little bit, get more into it, get a little spicier, you can add some other funds. Instead of just the S&P 500 tracked index funds, you might want to add some dividend funds, especially if you're an older person or you're like me. I just love dividends. You might want to go with a growth fund if you're younger. If you're only 20 or 25 years old or even 30, you're like, hey, I don't really want just a regular S&P 500 index. I don't really want dividends or dividend funds that focus, because all of them give dividends, right? But I want to focus on growth. So they're more, heavily geared towards growth. There are several funds there that work as well. And I'll put some of those up on the screen. But yeah, VTI, the reason I always mention that is because Vanguard, back in the 1970s, Jack Bogle, he is the founder of Vanguard. He came out with the first index fund back in the 70s, something that was very low cost, that just tracked the index and was, passively managed. So you didn't have fund managers making trades constantly in and out of the fund, and actually they perform, better than the old school active, managed mutual funds. So that's why I recommend those, and Jack Bogle recommended them back then, and I just read the book, The Simple Path to Wealth recently, and that's what he recommends as well, as just going into a Vanguard index fund or whatever index fund your company has. If you're with Schwab or Fidelity, you can still go with VTI, but you can also go with theirs. Because it's very low cost. You get thousands of companies. How can you go wrong? You have 3,625 companies in the United States, and you have all of those companies have employees that are working hard every day to make make the stakeholders money and make profits. So how can you go wrong there? But yeah, I'll put some other funds on the screen as well that I like, because I actually prefer more than just one, but you can start with just one. So VTI or SCHB. I'm sure you can Google and find that Fidelity actually offers, I don't know the name of it, but they actually have an index fund that's 0 expense ratio. So it's absolutely free, which is, pretty wild. So anyway, that's what I wanted to talk about today, was getting invested in one of those index funds. And if you are doing this in your work 401k, you may not have those funds available. I know with my work 401k, I had to choose a S&P 500 index fund that was, I don't know the name of it. It had some off the wall name, but I looked and it was the one with the lowest expense ratio. And I think it was 0.04 or $4 for every 10,000 invested. And I want to reiterate that just because the fund has a really low expense ratio doesn't always mean it's the best. There are other factors you have to look at, but most of the time they are the best. The index funds that just track the market, because most of the time, most fund managers over several years cannot beat just the market, the general market, the S&P 500. So anyway, I'll put some others on screen too, but what funds are you invested in? Have you done any research on this before? Do you usually just choose a target date fund when you sign up for a 401k or when you invest? Have you thought about that before? Anyway, I'm just curious what other people are doing. So anyway, y'all have a great night. Thanks.